Welcome back to the walkthrough, where every week myself, Byron Lazine, I am Byron Lazine, and Eric Simon, the broke agent, the man who only plays 18 holes with a 3-wood only. We host the cast of rotating characters every single week. We break down the trending topics as they relate to real estate. And this week we have Taya DiCarlo bailing us out from last week's first episode where we had Tom Toole and raising the bar of professionalism here on the walkthrough. She starred on Danny Deals's first Between Two Lock Boxes, which is still blowing the Brad Lee episode out of the water. And we also have Danny Deals, Dan O'Neill, back again here on the second ever walkthrough. We've got really good topics to talk about, all of the hot topics this week. Before we jump into that, make sure you jump into the link down below for KCM, Keeping Current Matters. Get educated, get all of the market data that your clients need to make you look like the expert by hitting the link and trying it for free below. All right, let's jump right in. Number one, the news of what I would say the last 3 years in our industry, the class action suit. This was a lawsuit that started in 2019, covers 4 MLSs in Missouri. It now being a class action lawsuit has opened up $8 billion. I'm sorry, over $1 billion in commissions, where sellers can go after these deals over 8 years. So over $1 billion in commission, where sellers can go after the buy side commission 8 years back. This sets precedent for the rest of the country, as opposed to like going around saying we all hate this, being agents. What can we learn from this, and what changes might we see coming in our industry? Whether this moves forward and they win the class action, NAR, Realgy are fighting it, whether they lose it, I think there's going to be changes made. So what can we learn? What changes might come of this in the future? Taya, it's yours.
I mean, I'm absolutely shocked that, as you put it previously, that this had teeth, that it had enough teeth to get to the point that it's at right now is actually pretty shocking, because as we all know, the real estate contract, the listing agreement, the purchase agreement, it's all very black and white and spelled out how commission fees work, and what the seller is agreeing to. It's very laid out. So I'm confused as to why this has even gotten as far as it has. And I think that it's extremely problematic, especially given the fact that they're trying to go back so far in time. It's one thing to say, hey, going forward, we want to make changes. But let's not forget that buyer agency was created in the 1990s. Buyer agency was not created by realtors. Buyer agency was created by the demand from the consumer. The consumer came forth and said, hey, we don't feel represented. We want proper representation. So that's how buyer agency was even created. And I don't think a lot of people have, read a book and looked that up recently. So I think it's problematic. And I think it's a little strange, since the whole purpose of buyer agency was to protect the consumer.
Absolutely. Everybody's got a comment on it. If you go to the Broke Agent Media Instagram, I don't know, Eric, what is there? 80 something comments on the.
Too many to even count, Byron. It's crazy. That thing went viral.
It went realtor viral style. Dan, what are your comments on this matter?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know what a class action suit was until today. And honestly, I still don't. What would that be?
Well, so it started with this one seller, right? That set the lawsuit, and now getting this class action lawsuit 3 years later, it opens it up to all sellers over 8 years in these 4 MLSs. So that's kind of how that works, where they all have a similar situation. It'd be too cost prohibitive for them to all fight it on their own. And so they come together as a class, and they got this, they were granted this class by a judge, obviously by NAR and Realgy, just to make it clear, when they appeal it, it'll go to a higher court. We'll see what happens there, but go ahead, Dan. Yeah. What can the industry learn from this? Sellers are saying that they are being basically duped into this buy side commission. It's raising their fees, and agents are not being transparent is essentially what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit scary, to be honest with you. Whether this comes to fruition or not. My biggest takeaways is just that it's going to be a massive change for agents, right? So this is going to affect our buyers. How are they going to be responsible to pay their agent's commission on the buy side and also be able to afford their house, right? Like a lot of these buyers, they don't have that liquid cash to be able to pay for representation, up front, and as opposed to putting it in the deal and also come up with that extra money for the house. The second thing was, if they can't afford the agent, right, and if they can't spend that extra money to hire the right representation, what's the alternative? They're going to be reaching out to agents that probably are going to be taking a discount and probably aren't going to be representing them the right way, which and then is just going to blow it up even worse. The fourth thing that I thought was pretty interesting was we're going to see a lot of these consumers, a lot of these buyers just dealing directly with listing agents now, right? If this does come to fruition, why would I want to reach out to a buyer's agent and have to pay their commission? Like if I'm a home buyer, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm probably not going to do that. And the last thing that I find really interesting is I think this is really going to hurt a lot of these buyer agents who maybe aren't doing a ton of business in their marketplace. Like me, you, Taya, us, for example, we do a lot of the inventory in our market. So as a consumer or a buyer, they're going to want to work directly with us. If I'm a random buyer agent that maybe has 1 or 2 or 3 deals under my belt, how am I going to be able to convince a buyer to pay my commission and show my value? So I think it's a big wake-up call for all of us. And I think what's even scarier too is they're going back, to 2014? I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, I might get in trouble for this, but there's been a time or two where I signed a lead paint with my left hand, maybe, right? I mean, you're going to go back, years from now, they're going to, and I'm going to
send yourself the old DocuSign.
Yeah.
Do a separate email.
Well, and I'm hoping you had seller consent there, Danny Deals.
As he puts on the clown nose.
I'm just saying,
lead paint signature. Well, here's where I'll say, Dan, I don't know that it matters that I don't think anybody cares about the agent doing 2 or 3 deals or 200 or 300 deals for that matter. It's going to be all about what's best for the consumer. When I look at what's best for the consumer in this situation, if you were to take away the ability for the option, with full disclosure, the option for sellers to pay this commission in full, you're gonna, if you take that option out, you're going to reduce home ownership. And, when we get into the midterms at the end of this year and everybody wants to get up there and campaign and act like they care, about the lower half of income earners in this country, home ownership is going to be what they talk about, and getting more homeowners in this country. And when you're on the fence of being a renter and a homeowner and you don't have somebody there advocating for you, educating you, pushing you in a sense to get on the wealthy side of America, we know Americans that are homeowners are far more wealthy than the renters. It's just a fact. It is what it is. And if there's not somebody there educating and getting more people out of being lifetime renters and into home ownership, that will continue this wealth gap that everybody likes to complain about in this country. The other big piece for me is Zillow better step up and help NAR fight this, because their business model will be in the toilet. They've shown no ability so far over almost 2 decades of work in being able to generate seller leads. They're reliant on these buyer leads with their business model right now. So if they're not fighting the good old fight to make it more transparent for consumers, but to give people the option to be paid by the seller so that they can finance it, so that they can afford representation, because a lot of people, buyers are mortgage. I'd be surprised if Zillow doesn't step in and help the industry, and it could gain them some real fans as agents. So.
I'd like to throw something else in there. I mean, here's what I think is a total farce. The bottom line is that sellers are not getting duped. They have an option. They know that commission is completely negotiable. They know that that commission is actually an option. You know why? Because there are for sale by owners. The people who don't want to pay the fee, they put the sign in the yard, and when the buyer comes direct and they go, well, who's your buyer representation? They go, well, I've got, Joe Smith over here, the realtor. Well, I'm not paying him. Who is?
It'll be interesting to see how many other people join the class action lawsuit, Taya, because maybe some people are going to your point, are going to be like, I knew, so what the heck?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why I feel like the more I think about it and having this conversation and saying it out loud, the more I feel like it's complete and utter bullshit. It's like the trolls on TikTok who come at us thinking that we're all like slime, commission, greedy, blah, blah, blah,
That's
blah,
just
blah.
you, Taya, on my TikTok.
The
That's
haters
I
on
hate
TikTok, they
agents on
love
TikTok.
but the bottom line is, and they can come at me, bro. If you're so bitter about paying a fee, be a for sale by owner. This is America. You have fucking choices.
If
Yeah.
this was pardon the interruption, Tay would be getting a bunch of points right now. You'd hear those bubbles popping up right over Taya's head. Just think.
How
how
many-
many how many points would I have, Eric?
I don't know,
Negative
like
6.
4. Taya would have 15. Dan had some good points in there. 10
Dan would
for
have 10 points just for
Yeah, I'll
breaking
keep
up the
score.
clown noise.
I just care about this lawsuit as long as it gives us content. That's all I care about.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's a story and it gives us content. Good.
This on TikTok.
As long as
it'll
I'm not
go
getting
viral.
sued in class, right, Dan?
Amen. Brother, amen.
Plenty of content to come on the class action lawsuit for BAM. Don't worry
Good.
about that.
Keep it
Eric.
going then. Who cares?
Biggest story in the world this week was Elon Musk buying Twitter. Bought Twitter. Well, it hasn't closed yet, but it's at a price of about 75 times earning, where other tech platforms like Facebook is, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 20 times earning. It's $54.20 per share, $44 billion price tag. The stock's currently trading under $50. Elon wants to remove bots from the platform. He wants to bring it back to.
There goes your engagement, Dan.
There it goes. No bots, no Twitter bots. He wants to bring it back to a town square environment where Twitter will honor the laws of the land when it comes to free speech. And he wants to give every human a blue check so we can all be like Dan is on Instagram. What we're going to talk about, though, here's Dan's old tweets. We'll start with Dan. So Dan,
Hopefully you clean this up before you show all those old tweets. My God.
Right now, when we think about Twitter as real estate professionals, Bobby, you don't have to flip through these just yet because we want to go through each one of these with a fine-tooth comb.
Wait, Byron, pause for a second. Look at the engagement on these.
They're crazy.
285 retweets. This is
And that was in
So-
2015,
bananas.
which is
Yeah.
That's
times what we do now.
impressive.
Very impressive.
Here's the question we're all going to answer. What do we currently use Twitter for in our business, and how will it change when Elon closes this deal for agents? And obviously, let's comment on Dan's cracker or whatever the heck he's eating there on a paper plate.
It's a cookie.
A cookie.
I'll leave this one off, Byron. First of all, these tweets are hilarious. This engagement is ridiculous. I'm very jealous of it. Congratulations.
We're good.
Keep scrolling while I'm talking.
Dan, what year was this?
This was
2015. It says there right there.
2016. Yep. Look at this one with the
Fine,
car.
It's just pointless and nothing.
This one
I-
went off.
I find
So-
this content horrific. I find it diabolic.
I mean, these are basically just memes. It's hilarious. And this is like in prime
Dan
meme
was
culture,
ahead of his time.
2015, 16. So
ahead
Byron,
of
I'll answer your question here. I use Twitter as a dumping ground, as a test site for my jokes. So if I come up with a thought, I'll tweet it out. If that tweet does well, I'll figure out, okay, should I screenshot this tweet, put it on Instagram, or should I turn this tweet into a meme or into a skit or into a reel or something like that? So I've been using it for that. But since we launched BAM, we're also using Twitter as a way to distribute our news and our links. And I don't know if it's coincidental, but in the last 48 hours since the Elon news broke, my Twitter engagement has skyrocketed. I'm getting like 100 favorites on everything.
Wow.
And I don't know. There's no
Eric's
way
off
that there's any relation to it. What's that?
Said you're off the shadow ban. Thank
I-
God.
Yeah, exactly.
I think more people are just on the app, Eric. That'd
Yeah.
be my guess.
That would make complete sense. But yeah, so I use Twitter as a dumping ground for jokes, to distribute news, to consume political content and sports content. And I don't know. I feel like realtors don't really use Twitter that much
No.
to engage with each other or promote their videos. What do you think, Taya?
That's why I thought it was interesting because I don't see a lot of agents on there either. Go ahead, Taya.
Yeah.
They don't, but I'll tell you what realtors do is that they are sheep and they go to the next shiny thing. Let's give TikTok, its moment before we go into Twitter. There was a time when we were at like a Tom Ferry summit and Tom Ferry put Zach on the screen talking about TikTok. Everyone in the room, including myself, was like, this guy on TikTok for real estate. Are you fucking kidding me? And everyone kind of scoffed. I included, Glenda Baker included. Look at her now, right? Anybody who's living under a rock, Google Glenda Baker TikTok.
Glenda's the king
everybody,
of TikTok.
right? Everybody will
Queen.
Everybody will shift to the shiny penny, right? If Twitter is now the shiny penny and realtors are going to learn how to use it, I think it's only a matter of time, which I think it's a unique opportunity for any entrepreneur, whether you're in real estate or in something else, to shift over, learn how to speak the language, because you can't go on Twitter and act like it's TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I mean, like, I just have all my stuff syndicated there. I don't know how to do it just yet, but it's more of that like live, real time, this is what's going on sort of language. It's a different social media language.
Yeah, for content, Eric's probably using it the best. What about you, Dan, besides your 2015 memory lane down your Twitter experience here? But
Listen, I was just putting on my clown nose and entertaining people before it was cool to entertain people, okay? For me, I consume my news and sports and really everything on Twitter. It's something that I feel, between TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, there was Clubhouse, a year and a half ago. I feel like these things continue to cycle. And for me personally, I'm going to stick to what I'm doing well and what's working for me. I'm not going to be hopping on Twitter and, doing anything real estate related. I'm going to continue to consume my news that way, but I don't really think that there's a big niche for realtors on on Twitter. I do love seeing your tweets, Byron. I do follow Eric. Obviously, I even have your stupid tweet notifications on, but aside from that, I really don't see a big need for realtors on Twitter.
No, yeah, let's be clear here. Twitter may be having resurgence politically and culturally, but for realtors, I don't think they're going to escape to Twitter to be posting their just solds, their just listeds, their skits, their TikToks, anything like that. So I don't think realtors are going to start consuming and posting on Twitter.
Everything's market relevant, right? So if you're an agent in Washington, D.C., you probably should be on Twitter, especially if you're selling, to politicians, for example, right? You're going to want to be on Twitter. But to Eric's point, yeah, generally speaking, your local market's probably not on Twitter for local content like they are in Facebook groups and these kind of things. But I would encourage agents to do what Eric's doing, do what the Broke Agent account is doing, which is create content on Twitter that you can use in other places. Now, Twitter, for me, I've had success on Twitter with relationships in the industry. Bobby, who's producing this show, him and I met through Twitter. I was looking for a video producer at the time. I put a tweet out there and I tagged D-Rock, who is Gary V's video producer, knowing he's passionate about that industry. Well, D-Rock retweeted it. I start getting a whole bunch of direct messages. Bobby and I, talked that night. Bobby drove to Connecticut from Long Island the next day, and we ended up creating a working relationship based off of that one retweet from D-Rock. I've also, some of my great friendships in this business, Laura Brady, shout out to her, just sold concierge auctions to Sotheby's International Realty. Her and I met at a Sotheby's conference through Twitter. We were both at the conference, but remember when conferences, Twitter used to be like where you would connect and use the hashtag for conferences.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is going back a little ways, but we met and ended up meeting in the lobby and created a long-term friendship in the industry based off of a tweet, just me saying, hey, I'm here at, I think it was Sotheby's GNE, and her replying and, okay, let's have a coffee or a drink or whatever and say hello type of thing. So there's still that for Twitter for creating these relationships. I actually think it's better than LinkedIn for our industry to create a relationship with somebody and get access to somebody and get somebody's attention, because LinkedIn,
social networking, actual social networking.
And also,
to me, it's the most social app there is of all of them.
Mm-hmm. It's real time.
Another thing that I use Twitter for is to search trending topics. And how can I utilize that in my actual content, whether I post it to Twitter or not? Taya, you just said you were bulk shooting and trying to come up with trending topics, what's happening. Scrolling through Twitter is one of the best ways to do that.
Interesting.
So
I definitely, I want to play around with it more for that purpose and also for consuming news. Because I feel like another thing that bothers me whenever I'm on other platforms, especially because I have so many realtors that follow me and I follow them, if someone just posts an article, have an opinion about it. So I feel like if I were to think of a creative way to consume on Twitter for real estate, I would maybe read an article, have an opinion about it, retweet it with my opinion, right? And then that way, like, I feel like that's a great way to socially network with other people who maybe have the same opinion, or maybe they have a differing opinion, whatever it is. Now you're actually networking and communicating, and it's less about this boastful, look what I've done, look who I am, and more of a, here's a thought, here's something of value. Hey, I read this article, it's total clickbait BS. Here's my opinion.
It seems like Twitter, there's a lot of smart people on there. So yeah, it's a good place to have conversations. I'm going to continue to use Twitter, and maybe I will use Twitter a little bit more. To your point of, all you guys' point of like reaching the local home seller, probably not on Twitter, dependent on the market, but a lot of good can come from paying attention. You don't know where the app's going to, they can make any changes. Any one of these apps can kind of go down a peg, and one of them can elevate by just making some tweaks to the platform. All right, we've got housing prices updates. So this was a BAM article.
Exclusive.
A BAM exclusive. Housing prices prediction flip-flops. Eric made me use that clickbaity title.
Not exactly accurate. It wasn't really a flip-flop. It was more of a slight change. But
More
you
of
know
some
what? We got to get
changes
people to click, right?
and tweak.
Dr.
So
Clickstein.
Dr. Clickstein.
Yeah.
He plays 18
Like that,
holes
Dan?
with a 3-wood. Eric
Well, it's a
Simon,
weapon.
broke
It's a
agent.
weapon, Byron.
Still
You
can't
would too
beat
if you could hit it 320.
He is launching the 3-wood. All right, so we're going to go 4 months into the year. Where are these new predictions now on home price growth? Zillow started the year at 16.5%. They're now at 14.9%. CoreLogic started the year at 1.9% prediction. Now they're up to saying we're going to see 5% from February 22 to February 23. Redfin, they were at 3% home growth for the year, and now they're talking 7% home growth by December, home price growth, rather. Mortgage Banker Association, they had the most insane prediction the beginning of the year. I called them out in November for this. Their prediction in November was that the homes values would go down 2.5%.
Psychotic.
That was total psychotic.
What
That was
hacks?
crazy.
What
Now
organization is this?
That was Mortgage Bankers Association.
The
Now
hell are
they're
they, right, Dan?
so they were obviously
Never heard.
fearful of these interest rates really pushing down home prices. Now they're at 4.8% increase. So in 4
Flip-flop.
months, they've had a 7.3% swing. So Mortgage Banker Association, you are the flip-flop. Realtor.com's at 2.9%, and they have not updated that number, although in their last report posted on their site, they do state that the median existing home prices climbed 15% year over year. So there you go. So you've got numbers all over the place. These guys are just throwing darts. Let's look at what's actually happened. This is a KCM chart. Again, you can try KCM for free by hitting the link below. You can get access to these charts to help you look like the expert in front of your home shoppers, sellers, and investors. This shows you the last 10 years that we haven't had one single year where it's been in the negatives. Mortgage Bankers Association was trying to get cute there in the beginning of the year and say we'd finally go into the negatives. We haven't done it in 10 years. Obviously, the last couple of years here, we've been up around that 20% mark of year over year change in home prices in the positives. What's it going to end up this year? I tend to lean into the Zillow prediction somewhere double digits. I'm probably closer to 10 than their original prediction of 16. They've now lowered it to 14.9. So which would mean this chart that we're looking at here is going to actually drop down. Say it does go to 15. It'll drop from where it's at right now, which is close to 19, 20, and it'll show it going down. That doesn't mean the market's going down. It means this year it went up, say 14% from last year. It's still growth year over year over year, just not as much as the last year. Taya, what are you seeing? Are you seeing any indication that we'll see a serious slowdown. They're all predicting a slowdown in comparison to last year.
Mhm.
How serious will it be?
I actually just did a Tea's 2 cents episode I recorded with Ricky today about this. And, for everybody listening, for every percentage point that the interest rate goes up, a buyer's purchasing power diminishes by approximately 10%, right? But that's not to be equated with home values dropping to the same amount. And so I compare it to, let's just say you're on the freeway and no one's around and you're going 100 miles an hour. And all of a sudden you see a highway patrol and you slow down to 65. Well, that now you're going to feel like you're going at a snail's pace, but you're still cruising at 65 miles an hour. You know what I mean? So we are flying down the freeway right now with this appreciation. And yes, we're going to pump the brakes, which I think is a healthy thing. In a normal market, interest rates usually hover around 8%. 5% is still historically low if you read a book and look at what's gone on for the last, several decades. So are we going to see home prices plateau and slow down a little bit? Yes, I think so. But are we actually going to be in a scary place where we're crashing and burning? No, I think we're going to get down to a much more healthy market where homes are still appreciating at a slower rate. Even if we were appreciating 3 to 6% every single year, that's still growth. That's still a really wonderful investment, if you ask me.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I just closed on my house. I purchased it last November for $550,000, and I closed about 6 weeks ago for $740,000. So my house appreciated almost 20% in 15 months. So I tend to agree with you. I do think that we're going to see about a 10% increase for this year. And from what I'm seeing in my marketplace is, yes, interest rates are scaring people a little bit, but we're just seeing less showings, maybe less offers, but the value is still there, and the value is still going to be there for the foreseeable future because it comes down to one simple thing, and that's inventory. Mm-hmm. People don't have anywhere to go. People are afraid to sell. They're afraid to overpay for something. So until we get more inventory, prices aren't going to slow down, and they're not going to drop. And even if they do go to 10% year over year, that's still really good. Homes are still appreciating.
Yeah, you're not getting 10% right now in the stock market. Everybody that's got money like I do in the stock market is not very happy these last couple of weeks. Bobby, if you can throw the chart back up, and if you have a home buyer that, is skeptical about buying in this market, show them this chart. At what point over the last 10 years would you have been able to say, well, hey, the market's going to go down, I'll get a better deal next year? Year over year over year over year, real estate continues to appreciate. And the longer you wait, the more expensive it will be. When we look at this, when KCM does a chart like this from 2022 to 2032, and we're sitting here on the 590th episode of the walkthrough, Eric. we will be
if
looking
I'm still
at
in this bunker, please
Can we all be in like a high-end studio by then?
Yeah.
We will be looking at a chart that looks very similar. Maybe there will be a year or two where we go closer to the line of 0% or even perhaps under for a blip.
The mortgage, whatever they are, the mortgage association will be ecstatic.
They'll have their day in the sun.
That
The
crew
MBA.
of fools.
Mortgage association.
They will, and it's hard to hit these predictions, but like, to be fair, nobody hits their yearly predictions. Nobody hit them last year when it went 20%. The point is you can almost bet year over year that real estate's going to appreciate. So for your home buyers that are on the fence, get them some of this KCM data to look at. You can brand this stuff to you. You can get it and try it for free with the link down below. And real estate is the game. I feel so much more confident investing in real estate than I do the stock market right now.
What about crypto, Byron?
I don't even look at my Coinbase app, to be quite honest. I have an automatic buy every single week into Bitcoin and
it's called dollar cost averaging, Dan.
That's what I'm doing.
Have you heard of it?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, listen, I've been with you plenty of times. All you do is just sit there and refresh your Coinbase every 10 seconds. It's diabolical.
Correct.
I'm only on Coinbase because I heard you can forget your password and they'll still give you your money. So I hope that is true. All right, Eric.
Yes.
Eric's brought some notes to the class. We're finishing up with an Instagram tip that could save your life on social media if you're not using Twitter.
A promise. I mean,
attention class, Professor Stickstein, Professor Clickstein is here to teach you all about engagement. Dan, I'm going to quiz you on something since you are the class clown. Okay.
Sure.
What is the number one most important engagement you get on Instagram? Is it a like, a comment, a save, or a share?
It is a save.
Wrong. Moron. It is a share.
Share.
Obviously. So I actually ranked those. So in importance, it goes like, least important, comment, saves, and shares. So when you're producing content, you should always think, how can I get the most amount of shares? Because that's actually being projected to other people in their Instagram stories through DMs. So there is a hack. It's not really a hack, but it's a tool that Instagram allows where you could actually view story reshares and see how people are sharing your content. Did you know about this, Dan?
Of course I did. I have the #1 podcast 2 weeks in a row on BAM.
Correct. But that's because you took the social media course. So if you go to your Instagram, you click the top 3 prongs as I'm doing in this video. So you click here, you see those 3 little dots right there. You're going to click those. You're going to click view story reshares. And you can
Couldn't have done
actually
this on an
see
iPad, Eric. What is this, a sliver?
He did this on a
Video.
Motorola Razr. My God.
Yeah, exactly. It's my Crazer from 2004. This shows how people are consuming and sharing your content, which is actually one of the best data points you could come across. It says, it shows context basically. So, people are saying, yes, brutal. They're doing like laughing emojis and stuff. But if you're actually sharing something about your market, this could show how people are interacting with your content. So I highly recommend doing this after you post. Check how many shares it gets, and then also check the public reshares.
And is this only available for business accounts, Eric?
For creator and business accounts, yes. So you have
Creator
to
and
view your
business.
insights. So also, like, share wise, if you're producing content as a realtor, you don't want to just produce content for your specific market because that's not going to get shared as much. You have to produce macro content as well. Tay does a great job at this, where she does specific content about Los Angeles, but she also does kind of like more macro trends about the real estate market that other people could share too. So that's how you actually get the followers, is when you get shares.
Thank you. I mean,
Yes.
I'll add to what you just shared about the going in and seeing publicly who reshared your story, which, by the way, it's usually within the first 24 hours of you posting that piece of content. What I like to do is that when you see those public reshares, even if they didn't tag you, which, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to tag you. They're just gonna be like, oh, that's funny, or that's inspirational. And then they're going to go and share it to their stories without tagging you. I actually can go in and I DM, as many people as I can who
Genius.
publicly reshared. And I say, hey, Dan, thank you so much for resharing, or, oh my gosh, you reshared my video. Thank you so much. And whatever that is. And if they tag me, then of course you can repost like most people know how to do. But what I love is that if they don't tag you, it gives you an opportunity to reach out. And again, the algorithm loves that sort of behind the scenes engagement.
Yes. And that is what reaches the non-followers, which is what actually gets you the followers. So if you're producing content that isn't getting shared, you're not going to get followers unless you're, getting a ton of comments and actual tags. But I'm always very specific. Like, I'll do a post that I know will get a lot of comments where I'll say, like, tag someone who doesn't sell as much real estate as you, or what's your worst real estate experience? I know that post will not get shared, but we'll get a lot of comments. So I like to mix it up. I like to give a little variety of, okay, this one's going to get shares. This one's going to get comments. This one's going to get likes. What are you laughing about, Dan?
You spit knowledge. I appreciate it.
I feel the algorithm also works with TikTok that way too. And I shared this with you guys on our text chain, that a woman reached out to me, ironically through the DMs on Instagram, that she wanted me to sell her condo from a TikTok video that she saw, right?
Yeah.
And I said, wow, you're the first person who's actually come to me directly from TikTok. But she couldn't DM me on TikTok, so she DM'd me on Instagram. And she says, well, actually, I didn't find you. My friend who lives in Arizona saw the video and texted it to me and said, can you believe this video? Blah, blah, blah.
That's
And
a share.
That's a share. So that business, that's direct from the consumer, direct to me, a come list me call from a TikTok video that, again, the reason why it got, 270,000 views is because it was shared almost 20,000 times.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like Pandora's box. It's like the more it gets shared, the more people see it. And people are not just doing it on social media. They're texting the link, whether it's a reel or a link on TikTok. They're texting it to their friends, not just reposting it on Instagram.
Yeah. Be intentional with your content. So if you're thinking about what you're going to post, think, is this going to get shared? Is this going to get saved? So we've noticed, especially with the BAM account too, that slideshow posts don't really get shared as much, but they get saved a ton because people want to go back to that and actually like read that content. Do you guys even save content? I never do.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you actually go back and look at it, or you're just saving your own content? Okay.
No, not my own. Other people's
Right.
content. More so for whatever reason on TikTok, I'll do it. When I go back into my saves, particularly on TikTok, half of it will have been taken down by the time I go back to look at the
What are you
remove it from
saving?
the app.
Yeah. What psycho shit are you
Psychotic
saving?
stuff. No,
Yeah.
but I'll
God.
save stuff that I want to use in like the 5 a.m. call, or maybe a message to agents or whatever, like I will save stuff to refer back to it, particularly if I'm going to weave it into content in the future.
And another thing with content too, and Matt Leonetti and I talk about this all the time. If you're going to curse, you might diminish your shares. So cursing obviously is a great
turns some
tactic to
people
make
off, yeah.
something funnier, but it will turn some people off. So
Not
we
me.
always, not you.
We're curse friendly on the walkthrough.
Correct.
And sorry, not sorry that I curse. I on my Instagram videos, whenever I curse, I bleep them out. But on TikTok, that's like the uncensored version of me.
Or when you're on the Broke Agent Media channel, you just don't
can't
care at
help
all.
it. I
No
can't
filter
loose.
here. No filter, no paywall, right, Byron?
That's right. No paywall on Broke Agent Media. So if you haven't gone over to the site, if you're just listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, go over to brokeagentmedia.com. Make sure you follow the Instagram page that Eric was talking about. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. And the Instagram share, it's the 2022 version of the referral. So go get yourself some more shares. If you subscribe to the walkthrough on the Broke Agent channel on YouTube, by the 10th episode, Eric will have depleted all of his Instagram secrets. So you'll have them all by episode 10.
Yeah, I'll be done after 10. They're also all on the blog as well. So I'm just repeating myself every single day. I need some more algorithm shifts or a new app to come up so I could actually talk about something, because I'm not talking about 3% price increase predictions. I mean, that shit is boring as hell.
Well, it's good information. You got to relay this to these home buyers that are on the fence. Definitely try your KCM charts down in the link below. You can try those for free on BAM. We're helping hook you up with the content you need for your home shoppers, investors, and sellers. Taya, thanks for saving the pod. Dan, go enjoy. Where are you in Punta Cana? What are you doing?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Are you really?
Yeah, look at that shirt. You think
he's at
that shirt for fun?
The new Margaritaville hotel.
This is my Mama Juana shirt.
Oh my God.
How many tags to Margaritaville do you have to go to get your bill voided, Dan?
Too many.
All right. We'll be watching on IG. Until next week, hope you enjoyed the walkthrough. See you then.